Hi everybody, we're going to talk briefly just about Task 2 for ACT1. This task is in regards to bioethics and ethical principles. I want to just briefly go over the scenario and the task itself. There's a couple speed bumps where a lot of students hit, and I just want to hopefully clarify those as you move on through your task. First off, you are introduced to a scenario that presents a case of a young man named Matt who has an accidental overdose. He subsequently dies and is resuscitated over and over and over again. Some of the issues come into play when there's a discrepancy between what his parents are wanting for his care and what the physician is recommending. There's also some details given about the nurses and some of the actions the nurses take, which can be presented as issues. Down at the bottom, you are asked to analyze the different aspects and issues that have moral content with them. They want you to present the facts related to those, so go through this scenario and give the details that are listed in the scenario in regards to those moral issues. They also want you to discuss the ownership of the situation. This tends to be a common speed bump for students. They're not sure what ownership means. But when you read through your chapter on bioethics, I want to challenge you to really look at the different ethical principles that we follow and that our nursing code of ethics has us abide by. And I want you to think about that, and one of our biggest ethical principles that we abide by is respect for the patient. And in this scenario, the patient can't speak for himself, so you're asked to discuss where the ownership falls. If this gentleman cannot make a decision for himself, he can't vocalize it. Where does that responsibility lie? And so discuss that. The next section asks you to discuss how the 5 essential nursing values might play into the scenario. So take those nursing values and relate them to the scenario. The second section asks you to analyze 2 specific bioethical issues in the scenario in terms of a specific ethical theory of your choice. You'll read briefly about different ethical schools of thought or ethical frameworks. And what these are ways to look at scenarios, ways to look at ethical issues and approach them. So you're asked as the student to discuss one of those ethical theories and relate it to this scenario specifically. So briefly discuss what the theory is, and then relate it to the scenario. Take that ethical school of thought, that approach, and relate it to the scenario. Then you're asked to discuss an applicable law or agency policy. For some nursing students, this is easy because they work at a hospital and have access to their facilities' different policies and protocols. So they can look one of those up that would be applicable in this scenario. If you do not work in a facility that will have a possible policy that's relatable to this scenario, I would encourage you to look at your state board of nursing for whatever state you live in, and look at a different statute or a different law in your state. Do a different type of search to find a law that would be applicable in this scenario. And then you are asked to discuss how alternative actions might affect the patient outcome. You're given a couple actions the nurse takes in this scenario. What they want is alternative actions, actions other than what's listed, what the nurse could do to help affect the patient outcome. And then you need to take the ANA Nursing Code of Ethics and discuss how that would guide your actions. The ANA Code of Ethics is in your book. You can also Google it and find the different rules within that, and then apply these to the actions that you would take to advocate for the patient. So I hope this helps clarify some of the information and the speed bumps in this task. If you have any questions or concerns, I cannot encourage you enough to email me and ask me a question, or ask me if you're on the right track. Oftentimes, you just need to bounce an idea off of someone, and I'm happy to help answer any questions about ethics. This tends to be one of the harder topics for students to tackle, or can be, depending on your personal experience in the medical field. So I encourage you to ask questions and let me know how I can help you. All right, take care.